Hello. Good evening. Hola. Hello, everybody. Tuning in today. Maybe say where you're from. I'm in Listowel, Ontario, Canada. And I'm just so excited to be on tonight to paint with you all. Hope everybody's doing well. Just gonna make sure everybody can see that okay. And I'll just give some people time to tune in. So tonight we are learning how to create a scene here based off a photograph that I had a friend of mine had taken when we were in Costa Rica. So very excited. I just got back from Costa Rica about a week ago now. So I've had time to settle in at home and within my routines again, and I'm back painting. So I'm very excited to create a scene tonight. So I did post the photo reference in this event itself for you to look back at. If you cannot stay for the live, that's totally fine. This is recorded, so no worries. I'll just bring it like kind of close up so you can see. So there's our photograph tonight. So we're gonna paint something along the lines of this. I will try my best to make it look as detailed and wonderful as this picture here, but this is the inspiration this evening. Ooh, I want to drop it. Okay, so I'm just putting that over there for my reference, and then I'm going to turn this here. So I'm just going to go over our materials. Let me know if you can hear me okay and see me, and this is clear for you guys and gals, everybody. And maybe I'll turn down the music just a tad. Okay. So I'm using an 11 by 14 canvas tonight. It can be any size. I would recommend something more of the landscape scene, so just longer would be good. I have a cup of water, paper towel. I have a variety of brushes. So this one here is called a filbert. It's just a little more rounded on the edges, whereas this one's flat. Just a variety of them. So I have a couple different sizes here. It doesn't have to be the exact same brushes as me. And I have more of like a frailed brush, smaller brush, a mini flat one. So just a variety's fine. No worries if it's not the same. Basically want something big, medium, and small even. Okay, and I also have a palette knife. So this is what it looks like. You can also just use an old piece of cardstock. A business card, for example, is like a cardstock. Just something that's like a little bit of a tougher paper. Okay, more like a cardboard. You could totally use that if you don't have a palette knife. And then I had mentioned in the post ruler and a pencil. Okay, it's just something to kind of mark out where things are. It just really helps out. And as for paint, I'm painting with acrylic paint tonight. I'm using the Liquitex Basics brand here, but it does not have to be this brand, so no worries. It's just my preference. So I have black, blue, just primary blue, and then I have brown, green, it's more of a deeper green, white, yellow, and then I had a bonus color of unbleached titanium, so it's just like a beige. Okay, more of a beigey color for the sand. But you could also just mix brown and white, so no worries if you don't have that. Okay. Hi, yes, there will be a replay. No worries. Can you show us what we'll be painting? Yeah, of course. I'll show it to you guys. So I did post the reference photo in this event, if you're just tuning on. This here is the inspiration for tonight's class. And it's this picture is in Costa Rica, where I just got back from my trip. And I had a fabulous time there. Has anyone else here been to Costa Rica? I loved it there. It was my second time going there. So yeah, that's the reference tonight. And I'm just gonna have it over here for me to be able to use and teach. So we shall recreate something along the lines. Love it there, yeah. So good. So it was like 30 minutes from Liberia. I cannot say the words, Gananaske. Sorry, I'm like butchering it. Just learning all the lingual there. But I really did love it. Very cool. Okay, so I see that we have more people tuned in here, so that's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started. And if you can follow along this whole time, awesome. And if not, totally catch the replay. Hi Ian. Took the granddaughter to Dominican. Yes, I've been there too. I also love Dominican. I just love anywhere warm and tropical, you know. This beach that I was at too is more of like a natural beach. So it's just kind of looks like somewhere here in Ontario. Okay. But you could totally change that tree into a palm tree. So at the end of the day, it's your painting. Okay, so anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to use the large brush, but actually let's use the ruler and pencil first. Okay, so we're going to do things a little differently today. So I'm actually going to be using this brush coming up, but I'm going to use my ruler and pencil first just so I can mark out where things are. Okay, so about, let's say here. So I'm going to go about a hand down, and that's where I'm going to mark. So right now I'm planning where is my sky, where is my water, and where is my sand. Okay, so that's what I want to know for my very background portion. So I'm just going to get my ruler out and my pencil. Oh, welcome, your first time. So good. I have lots of recordings from past classes. I've been doing these Facebook Lives now since the beginning of the pandemic. So plenty to see in there. Okay, so you're going to go down about a hand, and then you're going to mark out a line across here. Okay. These are just guidelines. Okay, so about a hand width down. And then the water is coming in on a bit of an angle. Okay, so we have some sand here. And I'm going to say there's about 4 fingers width of space here between that horizon line and the sand. Okay, so I'm going to have my 4 fingers here, kind of mark out where that's going to be. So I'll just use my pencil here and just kind of give a little mark. Okay, and then from there on, I'm going to take my ruler. Let's pick that up. I'm going to go from this corner to where that line was that I just made. And I'm going to come down on an angle. And then connect it down there. I did do some painting at the beach when I was in Costa Rica. I just brought with me a little set from the dollar store and just had fun and just painted what I seen around me. So that was really cool. I ended up giving those, I had a friend there in Costa Rica and I gave her one, and then I gave another one to one of the hotel hosts there at the resort. So it was just so much fun. Okay, so that's my line so far. May be able to see that. I know it's kind of hard to see pencil line, but I think you guys will be able to see that. So now we got our sky, water, sand area. Okay. And then as for the rest, there's a couple little like mountains up in here. So we'll just paint them in instead of drawing them in. I just wanted to mark out where this was at least. Okay, but you can keep your pencil handy if you do want to end up drawing the mountains in the distance first. Okay, so now we can get to some painting. So we can get our biggest brush out. This is a filbert, which is one of your large brushes is fine. You're going to wet it, tap it, and then you're going to be using some white. Okay, so I'm just getting out some white. Lost my photo there. Okay, so white paint on my brush on both sides. Okay, now we are going to go to the sky and we're going to go back and forth from one edge to the other side. Oh my goodness, klutzy tonight. Sorry, that music's probably loud. Sometimes these tracks are unpredictable. Okay, I just actually added a little water to my white. So now I'm just going back and forth. And I'm going to fill in this sky portion here, so from the top to the line with white, back and forth. And I'm dipping my brush into water and then stirring it into some white because this is going to help me spread it. Especially with acrylics, they dry fast. So this will help me move it along there. And again, I'm just painting it to this line. If you go a little past your pencil line, totally fine. Those lines are just there as guidance. They will probably move a little wee bit as we go along. Okay, so mine is coated with white on the top portion. Alrighty, I'm not going to worry about cleaning my brush. I'm just going to get out some blue now. Okay, so I got my blue paint. Alright, so I still have a little bit of white on my brush. That's totally fine. Now I'm going to dip into blue. Yeah, of course, this will be, you'll be able to watch this later on. No problem. Didn't realize this started yet. I was hoping to do this with you. Just not home yet. Anyway, possible to send this to me. Yeah, you'll be able to find this right on the event itself and on my main page as soon as I'm done the class. It is being recorded as we speak. No worries. Okay, so I'm dipping into blue on both sides of the brush. And I'm not too far in. If you did just get on, I could always catch you up. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to go to the very top and I'm going to go back and forth with my blue. And we're going to go down with just our blue, about half of this half sky, okay? So I'm talking about right about here. It's going to be a little bit darker, and then we'll get a little lighter towards the bottom is the goal. Okay, so that's how far you're going to go with just the blue. Yes, it'll become a little bit lighter because the white underneath is wet, and that's totally fine. We are just going to use just blue for now, and then it'll mix in with whatever white, and then we're going to add just some white in a second here. So the goal is just to have it from darker to lighter. So I'm just going back and forth from one edge to the other and just going up and down in this half of the half sky here because I really want to make it nice and smooth. And you can get your edges if you like to. I'm just going to paint them later black. What I mean by edges is this side. But you don't have to do that, so no worries. Okay, so it's nice and smooth there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe just wipe off a bit of the blue on my paper towel just so there's not a lot of blue on the brush. Just a little bit is totally fine. Okay, and then you might need more white out like me. You're just going to get your white. I'm going to use a lot of white and blue in this painting. So I'm dipping into a part of my white here. Okay, so I got a fair bit of white here on my brush, as you can see. Just kind of loaded it up here. And I'm going to find the middle point here, just on top of this line. And I'm going to go across, back and forth. It's going to start to bring down a little bit of the blue that's already there in my brush and where I touched this area. I'm just going back and forth, blending it in to the line. Okay, I'm going to add a little water on my brush and then in with that paint the whitish blue paint on my palette that happened. And just going back and forth, and again, that water is going to help it smoothen out here. And it should look a little bit darker up here and a little lighter here, okay? So it is basically half blue and half light blue, but more blended so you can't tell. I am going up a little bit now into just the blue area, just so kind of just whatever's left of my brush, just to see whatever's faded away here. I'm just fading it in up and down, just everywhere, except for the very top. Okay, so cool. There we go. And then yeah, edges again if you're doing those. There will be some like mountainy areas here anyway, so you may or may not see it. Thank you. I love blending, so I have a problem. I'll just keep going and going. Oh, good morning. It's evening here where I am. So cool all over the world, different times, you know? I find it so interesting. Okay, so now we're gonna take whatever's on our paintbrush here. We're gonna dip it into water. Okay, I have a little bit of water, and then on my plate I had that little bit of blue and white that just happened to mix because of the blue on my paintbrush. So it's just more of a faded blue here. So you could make a really light blue even, just a little bit of blue and more white, okay? Add some water in it. Just stir in some water. We're just getting like, we're gonna make an undercoat for the water here. So it's just more of a watered down light blue here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under here, and I'm just going to start an undercoat of the ocean. So I can leave a little bit of a space between the sky and the water line, so like under your line, because there will be the mountainy areas there, those hills in the distance. So right up here, that's going to be between the sky and the water, so you don't have to worry if it doesn't look, if it doesn't look quite blended there. Totally fine. Okay, so I'm just getting water and adding it in. So now I'm just going to go back and forth, just watering in. It's going to look kind of like faded a bit because it's just an undercoat. They call it wet brushing. I don't know, there's a different term for it than that, I'm sure. I'm a self-taught artist, so I make up my words. I've just been practicing since I was a kid. Okay, but I'm filling in all this ocean area, all the water, and I'm going to go to this line here. And I'm even going to go past my beach line there just a little bit, because there's always going to be a little bit of kind of bluish tone in the sand. So what I meant by the beach line is like that line here. Just kind of very lightly just put a little bit of blue on there too, because it's just undercoat. We're going to put brown and beigey colors there later. So all part of the magic process here. Right now I'm taking an online course and it involves a lot of undercoats. So it's just something I've been learning, and once in a while I take courses so then I can better teach you guys as well. Just from learning new techniques and new experiences. Okay, so it's just faded blue here. If you have any like watery runs, I want you to go up and down, back and forth until they go away, because you don't want them to just stay there and hang out. So, and then again, a little bit past your line there is fine, because that's going to be some watery area in the sand later. It just changes the tone. Okay, it's an arm workout. All right. I'm going to clean that brush off now. So yeah, as we go along too, any questions or anything that you need, just let me know. I know it's a little tricky sometimes because I'm not like there with you to physically see your artwork, but I can try my best to help you out. You can always message me after the event too. And I was also going to say, I noticed some people were doing like hearts or thumbs up. That also helps me know where everybody's at. Like I just kind of roll with like the general group here of where everybody is, just to kind of pretend that we're all together and move together with the steps. Sometimes I will work a little bit faster, and that's only because with working with acrylic, sometimes you need to go a little faster so it doesn't dry on you, so then you can get the blending that you're looking for. But I know that takes time and practice, so I try to make sure not to go too fast. So I find the best thing you can do to keep your colors wet longer is to just use your paint a little bit thicker when blending, because that's just going to help you be able to move at your own pace, right, as you progress and learn. So yeah, we are going to need unbleached titanium now, or brown. Okay, so I'm not sure if everybody has this color. It's like a beigey tone. It can be something similar to this. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, brown or beigey. You know what? We can actually do brown first. Well, let's do brown. I lied. I'm just rolling with this tonight. I'm looking at the picture and just doing this live with you. And I don't know what this is going to be. So I'm hoping for the best as we go here. Sometimes when I do these lives, I have a sample that I had already made and I have it like near me of a painting I've already created, and we recreate it together. This time I'm just going off a photograph. So this is going to be a reveal for me too. Oh yeah, the magic's happening for you, Wendy. I love it. Magic happening for you, everybody else. Okay, so still a large brush, and it's cleaned off and dried a little bit. So I'm going to use actually some water into part of my brown here. I'm going to water down my brown as well. We're going to get a little undercoat. So some white, or not white, water and brown, and just kind of get it a little bit more wet. Not like soaking wet, just thinner. You're basically thinning it out. Okay. And now you're going to have to move this. So in the sand area, I'm going to actually kind of do like these little like kind of curvy bits here just on my line, because this is not going to be a perfect straight line. So I just did slight little curves here. I'm actually thinking I'm going to change my line a little bit. I'm going to adjust it. I'm going to make it come out just a little bit over here more. I'm using my paintbrush. I'm going to extend it just a little bit. Depends on what your line looks like, but I'm just moving mine up just a bit. Okay, so that blue is under there, and that's fine. It's part of that process. So now it's just a loose brown here. It looks watered down and thin. And you're just going to fill in your sandy area. Okay, I'm just going back and forth. Kind of looks gritty too, which is nice. Looks like sand. Texture of the sand. And then here is just going to be the brown, because I didn't have blue over here, and that's fine. Just different tones. Just need a little more water in my brown again. Okay. All right, we got an undercoat base of our sand. Ooh, it's coming together. We got a sky, got some water and some sand, just as our undercoats. Definitely gonna add more detail and layering. Okay, so I'm putting that brush in the water now. So we worked down here, and that gave this area a little bit more of an opportunity to dry. With the undercoat, it's better for it to be dry before applying more paint on, just so it doesn't pull off the color underneath. Because if it was still a little bit wet here, it's going to pull up some of your color. Doesn't always happen, but I've noticed that happens to me before. So just make sure it's dry. So if you need to get something to fan it off a little bit, just do that. And we're going to start to work on So now I'm just thinking out loud here because this is a process, part of the learning process. So right now I am debating between putting in those distant like mountain hill type things or doing the water, because I want the water to be wet. So when I do the mountains, I can put in some of the mountain color into the water. Okay, so I'm just trying to think, because I'd have to move a little bit faster for that. So I'm trying to think of what would work best for everybody. So, we could do the very distant mountains first, and then we could put some in the water. Yeah, we're just gonna roll with that. Okay, so we need blue out. Colors we need are blue, white, and a little bit of black. Okay, so blue, white, black. And the brush I'm going to use is a smaller filbert. And maybe, so either like a size like this or like this. Okay, so just a different, smaller brush. I'm probably just going to use this one. Okay, so I'm going to wet that brush. And I'm going to mix up a distant color here, so it's like a grayish blue. So I'm looking at the one that's like way back here, this one. Okay, so that is, we're going to make gray and then add a little blue. So I'm going to take a little bit of black here and put it somewhere on my plate. Some white. Stir it together. Kind of like making a more of a lighter gray. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue in there just to see how it looks. Okay, and then I'm going to actually lighten that up a little more because this is way far away, so it's not going to be as dark. Yeah, I'm liking this color here. So I just kept playing with gray there, as you've seen, just making like a light gray and then adding a little bit of blue to it, stirring it around, just getting more of a light grayish blue color. Oh, I'm so happy that you're enjoying this. Yeah, I wanted to be able to have, you know, lessons online that are free for people too, because, you know, sharing is something that is it's a giving in its own way, right? Like, I'm receiving from you guys too, being here, and like, I just love to connect with everybody, and, you know, you guys get to have a good time too and learn new things. I just think it's wonderful. You're welcome. You're awesome too. Okay, so just adding a little bit of water to that paint so it doesn't dry on me as fast. Okay, so we're just going to kind of layer in some here. So I'm just going to, you can get your ruler out again if you want to. Not that it really matters, I guess, because it's going to be in the color. The color is also going to be in the water a bit. But I'm just going to make a line regardless and then go from there. So I'm actually going to do it all the way across because this is just the undercoat. It's a distant mountain anyway, so I can put darker colors on top of this. Okay, so I'm just putting back in that line. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what it's looking like. That's that grayish blue color. I'm just adding more water to my paint again. I'm doing that quite a bit just to keep it from drying on me. But you have to just be careful because it could get too watery. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to just do a little bump here. So I'm coming out here, about to kind of like where my thumb ends. So somewhere around here. And I'm just going to come up, just kind of like a little guy here, a little bump, something like that. Let's do it there. Okay, so something like that. I'll just leave it like that for a minute. I'm going to fill it in, but just so you guys can see. We can always grow it taller if we need to. But for now, we'll keep it like this and go from there. So I'm filling it in now. So these are actually volcanoes in the distance in these pictures. is really, really cool place. All right, so underneath of here, I'm just going to take a little water again to my paint. I'm going to use, you could even get out a flat brush if you want, but I'm just going to use the edge of my brush, just the very edge. Awesome, yeah, it's so cool, eh? It's fun to see the process. And then under here, I'm just going to do like this like motion of going back and forth, like kind of swinging my brush a little bit. And I'm just going to add some like reflection in the water. Just starting to get some color in the water. Okay, so something like this. So that's taller, so it has a little bit more of a reflection. And then down here, a little wee guy. Something like that. And any like holes sometimes that happen, just tap them in. So like canvas sometimes shows through, so I just sometimes tap and then blend if I need to. Okay, there's one of them. Now it looks like there is like 1, 2, 3. There's like another couple 3 here. We'll just see how it works, like, because like sometimes when you're looking at a photograph, it's so different than fitting it onto a canvas, right? So I'll just see how it goes as I go along here. And then there's one more dark one, so I'll just show you guys again, just so you know what I'm talking about. So like I just did this one, and then there's like 2 more in front of it. One's like slightly darker, and then darker, and then dark. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so now with the same color as base, I'm going to pick up just a little bit more black, like literally like a dot, because black is just so powerful. So like there's just a little bit of black on there. I'm going to add it in, so it's just slightly darker now. Okay, stirring that up. I'm going to take that color, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, so it looks like it's shorter than this one. So I'm just going to make it shorter. You want to make sure that the color is different. So it's not looking quite different now that I put it on here. So I'm going to add a little more black to it and maybe a bit more blue just to change the tone. Okay, so I've done a little more black and some blue this time because I want this to stand out on top of that one. So then this one can go into the distance. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. So it's going to go in front of it. Okay, I can start to see that it's different. And then we're going to extend that because that just happened. That's totally fine. Under there's going to be water lines too. So I'm just going to use the edge of the brush or a flat brush and just rotate. I don't know what I call this, swinging. Swing the brush. I don't have too much paint on the brush either. I basically am just pulling down some of the color that's in the mountain volcanoes. Here might be a little bit tricky at first because that's wet, so you might just have to let that dry a little more and then put that color that you made on there again. So just maybe save a little bit off to the side because it might need that and it might not. It just depends on how yours is going. I just decided to extend it a little bit. Yeah, so I ended up going down here a bit by accident and actually kind of like that. And now I can like see the difference. So yeah, it's cool. This happened. Okay, and then I'm gonna make a darker tone for over here, and then we're gonna go basically just black. So first, I'm just gonna take some black again, darkening the color, and some blue. Okay, so black and blue, mixing it in for another mountainy area. So this time, I'm going to, yeah, it looks like they're on the same plane, which means on the same line. So now I'm gonna come up. So this color is different than these ones. I'm gonna do that. We can just bring it over here somewhere. There's gonna be a dark one right here anyways, so it's fine. And I'm just gonna mark out where I went with it. So that one looks darker, and then we're basically gonna go black next. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a bump on there. Cool. And then the same thing, just use the edge of the brush and get a little bit of the shadow reflection in the water. And I want to cross over here too, because whatever, there's going to be a darker area anyways there. I just can't help myself to fill it in. Okay. So yeah, should start to see different variation. Okay, let me know how it's going. If you ever need to smoothen up an edge, just add a little bit of water to your paint and that'll help you smoothen up an edge. Okay. I'm going to put this, actually no, I'm not going to put it in the water. I'm going to basically take whatever paint is on here and I'm just going to use some black, take a scoop of black and add it into that color again, like maybe 3 scoops of black. Because this one's basically going to be black. It's just like a really dark gray. It's darker than these ones. Because that's like supposed to be like one of the closer ones. So that's the one over here. And that one's taller. It's taller than this as well. Okay, so it is. It's actually coming on a little bit of an angle. It's kind of like coming in like that. The bottom of it. Maybe something like that. So I'm just gonna go make a line here, just angle it in slightly. Okay, and then it's gonna grow. So I'm gonna make it somewhere around here. So I'm just like making sure it's taller than this area. So I like to use my paintbrush a lot, the back of it anyways, just to kind of show like kind of acting like a ruler, right? Where the line's gonna end up going. So I'm just gonna bring that in and I'm gonna bring it down and like connect it somewhere around here to cover part of this guy. If it doesn't show up darker, then add a little more black to it. I'm just trying to connect it in with this area. And I'm just filling it in. I'm kind of like scrubbing and dabbing. Cool. Okay, I just added a little bit of water to my paint because then I'm gonna go underneath and make those water lines again. And I'm just adjusting this. Okay. So just doing a little bit of scuffling underneath, we'll call it. Trying to like break it up a bit so you can see the water a little bit between, or it's just more faded. You can always put water in there later, it's no problem. once something dries, it's pretty forgiving. Put the color on there later. I'm gonna add a little water to this paint so I can make this. It's a little too much water. There we go. This is a big hill here, so I'm just gonna put a little more shadow in the water. I'm actually gonna end up just bringing it right down to this sandy area. It's more of like an undercoat. We will put other color here, but it's just the shadow's quite big in the picture too. So it's funny, I'm actually not a lefty, but the way that the camera goes, it's always the opposite side, like it's the mirror effect. So yeah, it actually works out very handy for me to be teaching online. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it closer so you can see. Look, there's lots of depth there now just from doing those different color variations. That's pretty cool. Can't wait to see your guys' work. I love how it's unfolding online together because I have no idea what this is going to be as we go along tonight. So. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the water. Do you have a frailed brush, like something that's just kind of scuffy looking? This is called a deerfoot brush, but it doesn't have to be that. Just something that's kind of old and scuffly. You're just going to use it to make little tiny trees on top of this hill. See them up in there? So just a couple up there. So the trick with doing that is you don't want to actually wet your frailed, scruffy brush, okay? You want to keep it dry. Just use the color we've been using for the mountain, the darkest one here that we just did. Whatever's left, just tap it into that color. Okay, and then all you're going to do is just go on top, and you're just going to get a little bit of kind of like these little distant trees up there. You're just dabbing it. I'm actually going to have to wet it to get some paint. So I'm going to wet it, and then I'm going to just tap my napkin like maybe a couple times just to get some of the water out. Okay, so it's working a little bit better for me now. So I'm just tapping along the top just a little bit. I don't really want to go too high or anything because it's in the distance still, but because it's closer, it's showing a little bit more detail. So just a little bit of trees up there. In the picture, it is going down. I'm maybe just going to go down to about here. Pictures as like a guide, so just kind of use it as an inspiration. Yeah, I'm gonna go to about here is fine. Just tap on top of the hill to just blend that in. Okay, now let's bring it closer. I'm just gonna put that brush in the water. Okay, so that's all I did up there. It's a little bit of distant trees. Later on, there is also like tree branches up there too, and down there reflecting. That is optional. Like anything I'm doing in this class tonight, you don't have to put in. Like say we do the water and the sand and you like it as that, right? Like you can keep it that way. If you want to add in the tree and stuff, then you can do that, right? So yeah, I'll just be doing that picture as it is, but I'm just letting you know that you can always customize it to you anytime. Oh, will this be available later? Yes, yeah, of course, no problem. Yeah, I hope you can block out some time for yourself to get creative. I don't take down my recordings. I have plenty of them on this page. Just go to the home page, go under more and then click on videos, and you will see like so many videos, like over 30 videos that I have made live. I've been doing these free live classes for like, it's my 3rd year now. So I love it, and I love to paint with everybody. Okay, so now we're going to start adding in some more details in our water. I love doing water, so I'm very excited. Okay, so I'm going to use a flat brush. Okay, so something that's straight at the top. Could be a filbert too. No problem. I have created a whole painting before with one filbert brush. So it really doesn't matter. Okay, it can be either this or this. Just something bigger. Okay, but I'm going to wet this flat brush. Alright, so now I'm just looking at the picture. So it's darker up here, and then it gets a lighter, and then kind of more sandy-ish here. That's going to be interesting to work with because browns and blues, so we're going to see how that goes together. Okay, so we're going to need out colors, so blue, white, and let's get a little bit of green. I want a little turquoise in this water. Seeing it in person and being there, I know there's turquoise in that water. The picture doesn't really show it too well, so I'm going to add in a little bit of my own. And I think that will tie in really nice with the green leaves that I'm going to be doing up here. So I think it'll bring balance to the painting. Okay, so blue, green, white. And you still have black on your palette. I'm assuming you might need a little gray in there time to time. Just going to refresh my blue. Okay, so let's take some blue. And then we're going to actually take a little bit of black. I'm going to take a little scoop of black and we're going to put it somewhere. We're going to make a dark, like kind of navy blue first. We're going to have multiple tones here. Okay, so that's a little too black, right? So I'm just taking a scoop of blue. I'm just going to get it a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. So just wanted it to be darker than the blue I already had, the original blue. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. I might actually add a little bit of white. Yeah, oh yeah, I added a little white to it and I like that color. Pretty. Okay. Alright, so now in this area, I'm going to use my brush flat like this. I'm going to use the edge of it and I'm going to be doing this motion, like that scuffing motion, because we have some dark areas in here and I don't want to completely cover that. So we might need to touch it up. We most likely will anyways, but I'm just going to find that bottom base. You can use your ruler too if you want it to be straight, but it's okay if it's not. And I'm just going to, I don't want to block you guys with my head. Okay, so I'm just going to be going across here. I'm just trying to make a straight line underneath. And trying to keep some of these there, so that's why I'm using the brush more of the edge versus flat. I'm not doing this yet because I'm not in the open area. I'm using the brush like this right now. Okay, check out your color, make sure you like it. You just want it to be darker than the original blue and it's going to get brighter as we go down. So I'm just coming in these little areas here. So just have to like take my time. Okay, so I'm going to bring it closer for you to see. Kind of made a little bay here. The bay's not in the picture, but I like the bay, so we're gonna put white and stuff in there after too to make it like so it's not sitting on top of it. It's gonna look like it's part of it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now I'm just still using that edge of the brush. I'm gonna go into this area too. Going like between and on top a little bit of the dark shadowy color that I put there earlier. Okay, so I'm gonna be going down about this far, so it's about like half of the water area. Okay, so that's where I'm going to be going with this dark blue. We will be putting a lighter blue a little bit on top of that area too. I've added a little bit of water to my blue that I'm working with right now, just so it doesn't dry out on me. Okay, so I'm just going to keep using the brush flat like this. So I'm using the edge. I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm doing this. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay, so I'm going down to about here. I'll just mark it out for you. I like to do it like this because you can kind of get these line effects, and you can see the blue undercoat a little bit nicer that way. You can make little spaces so you can still see the blue underneath even if you want to. Kind of saves you from doing waves later. I'm just going right up to this. I'll put my dark colors up in there again later. Yeah, I ended up going over the reflection here a little bit just because it did fade into the color. So I was just mumbling to myself that I'm going to end up just adding it in again anyway. So yeah, it's okay. It's under there. It'll come out a little bit as it dries, and then we'll just put it back. It's no worries. Okay, so I'm going to go to about here with that bluish black color. And over here, like, I can see the reflections a bit from that dark because it was dark enough. I don't know if you can see it in the light there. But yeah, some of them will show through a bit, and that's good. If they don't, you can put them back. Okay, so now that I've put in this area with the blue, I'm going to take a little bit of my green, so just a scoop of green, and add it in to this color. So a scoop of green, stir it in, looking for like a turquoisey color. I'm actually going to take a bigger scoop of green. Just blending it in until you see like a turquoise color. Okay, something that's a little lighter than this. I'm going to add it into it. Okay, just a little bit here and there. I'm actually going to take some white in there. I'm going to add white into that turquoise color. There we go. So white will help it show its truest color. Yeah, whites look pretty with it. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and add in like a turquoisey tone. I'm going to bring that. So you want to make sure you go into this color while it's still a little bit wet if you can, because it'll blend in a lot easier. Still using the edge of the brush just to make it look like liney effects. Okay. And then I'm going to start to change my angle now to go with this angle here. So I'm going to start to go in this way. So I'm just going to draw it out for you just so you can see where I'm starting to connect. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. I'm going to add a little water to my paint. Okay, so have an angle there. Filling that in with the edge of the brush. Turquoise. If you have literal turquoise paint color, you could do that too. And then yeah, make sure you blend it into that blue. If this blue has dried on you, then you're gonna have to make that color again. And so I'm just cleaning my brush right now. Drying it, just so it's damp. A trick to blending too is if you use a brush that's just damp and you go over on top and just swish it in, it'll help to blend and soften the tone. Okay, so that you could do that if you needed to. I need to add some of this color again on there because it dried on me, so I'm just using my blue and black color. I'm just making it up again, adding a little white. May or may not be the exact same, but that's okay. So like I said, acrylics do dry fast. So I'm taking my color that's up here and putting it back in a little bit on top of the turquoise, just so it can blend together and become a little more solid. Yeah, my reflections from those mountains are completely gone over here, but they're a little bit there, which is fine because it's just practice. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Looks a little more blended. And then here, while this is still a little wet, I want to just try to get this turquoisey color. I'm just adding a scoop of white to it, making it even lighter. It's kind of like how we did the sky. Making it even lighter because it's closer. And I'm just going to put it in on top of this line, following the angle, going to that sand area. A little bit on top of the sand, even is fine. Thank you. Yeah, this is fun. I love painting the lines, everybody. Okay, so just getting this in there. So I'm going to go over my sand just a little bit because it's kind of like, you know, the sandy water. It's close to the shore. So you might see a little brown under there. And I just went up a bit into the turquoise to try to blend it in together. And I'm going to put a little turquoise there because it got lost. So yeah, it's kind of just playing with the colors as you go. I'm going to put a little bit in there in my angled area. All right. And I'm putting a little bit of my blue back in there, darkish blue. Kind of like have to keep all those colors handy because it dries on you. Okay, I gotta hold this back because of the reflections. I'm just trying to see where I'm at. Okay, yeah, looks good. Okay. Just cleaning my brush. I know I'm blocking the screen, sorry. My palette's pretty full. Okay, so I do want to put those reflections back in. So I'm going to take my black and my gray, black and white to make gray. Just something similar to the mountain colors. So like that one's a little lighter. So I can put in a little bit of those reflections. Use a smaller brush. You can use the same brush with the flat one. Just do those same little motions there. Just extend it down. Into the water. So I just put it back in there. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it just takes practice with the color mixing. Oops. Plus the color wheel helps. Got a little blue in my mountain, so I'm just putting some gray back in there. There we go. Okay, so the same thing. I'm going to make it even lighter gray because I'm going to touch up in this little area here with some little reflections. So I'm gonna bring it closer for you guys in a second. Just touching it up in here. We're gonna add white and stuff in there later too, because it makes it look super cool. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add in some of, like, just kind of touching up. I notice it's a little see-through in some of these areas, so I'm just touching it up a bit. Looks like I need more black on my palette. But I'm just adding back in the reflections. So the same technique that we did, I'm just putting them back underneath some of those areas. Okay. Getting those. Just have to block for a second while I get in these little reflections. So I'm coming down to the bottom area of the sand again. The top of the sand, I mean. with this big reflection because it is a big hill. With the reflections at the bottom, I just slightly turned it on a curve because of the angle here. I just realized that. So I just turned some of them. And that I need to go over black because I got a lighter gray in there by accident. So. Just hard on this lighting for me because of the reflections. So I'm just going to put back some white here. Some black in there. Try to get a similar color. So yeah, just have to put black right there. You might have to put some black too just to make it stand out again. See how it goes if it's not quite standing out between here and there. Because I put black on this, I'm going to have to put black everywhere now just to scrub it in slightly. So you might want to do this if it needs to be like more bold as it dries, so things change. So because I added that color, then I definitely wanted to blend it in with the rest of it. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't look bad. So happy little accidents, as they say. I did learn from Bob Ross too, by the way. But I am self-taught and just been practicing. And doing these kind of lessons with you guys online is like an online learning lesson for me too, because I'm still learning. We're all always learning. So yeah, cool. I hope you guys are having a good time so far. How's your water going? We're going to get some like white shimmers and everything in there. Love doing the shimmers. So I'm just going to hold it back so I can see the perspective of my painting. I always like to stand back from it. Like it helps me to see this in the camera as well because it's a different perspective for me. But for you guys, you might just need to stand back and you'll be amazed at your works. It's like, whoa, it just looks so different standing back too. And yeah, normally people aren't just like this at your painting, right? They're looking at it up on the wall. So much fun. Okay, so I'm going to use my flat brush again. Where'd it go? I'm going to clean it off. Again, let me know if you need anything. Okay, so now I'm going to use just white. And a flat brush. Okay, so I'm not using too much white, it's just a little bit of white on my brush. What I'm going to do is use my white to divide this area from here by putting some white between. So I'm just going to be doing like a tapping motion. So I'm just kind of tapping loosely here. Some white. I find tapping works better than this. Just find it makes it look more shimmery and more like water movement. So now I can tell it's nice and divided in the water. I'm going to be putting some of that up in this little cove that I created up here. So it's very like small little waves at the top, right? But then we're going to start to get larger towards the bottom. So I'm just right now focusing underneath of these areas. It's really up to you how, you know, wavy your water is. But I definitely like to make these water shimmers, so I'm probably going to have a lot more than the picture. That's totally fine. Okay, I'm just kind of tap in just a little bit of white, not a lot of white. I find that the flat brushes do work good for this. Like you can use a small flat brush But if you're using the filbert, just make sure you're using it extra gently so you can just get the one edge instead of the curved part. Okay. Cool. Cool. And I'll bring it closer again. That's what I did up in there. And then I'm going to start to bring this around and down. So now I'm just going to do like kind of using the corner of the brush or just a small brush. I'm just doing a little bit of tapping to get like some like wavy shimmers. And I'm going to be doing this all the way down to the sand. So just get some practice on a piece of paper even if you want. Okay, and then you're just going to tap along very gently. Try to make them different line variations, so like, you know, different angles, not all in the same row type thing. Like they can be, but just some areas are different. It's kind of hard to see. I'm gonna bring it. So as I get kind of like away from this area where it's going to be the smaller waves, I will start to get a little bit longer, wider areas, more in this part. Right now, I'm just barely have any paint on my brush. I'm just gently using like one edge of the brush. This is really going to make the water pop out. And like I said, you can do as many or as little as you want. It doesn't have to be as much as what I'm doing. I'm going to start to get a little bit longer in this area. I'm starting to come closer. I still haven't even added any paint to my brush. I'm just using what's on it. I love doing water shimmers. I might even go back and add some of the color of the water on top too. Just here and there. Like, I'm just going to see how it looks and then I might do that. Like I said, I'm rolling with this too, like online as we go. So sometimes I can add things in. It's just fun to share like the open creative process with you guys as I go. Like I said, this is going to be a surprise to me to see what it looks like when it's done. So I'm starting to change my angle a bit now because I'm in this angled area. I remembered this time. Getting a little more paint on my brush because it's starting to fade away. I'm going to start getting a little bit longer now. Right here is still straight. If you ever make a mistake, you can take, like, I made my one angle too high, so I can take a little bit of a damp paper towel and just very gently like wipe it away. You just have to be like super gentle and not a lot of water because it will pull up paint. So like under what you want, what you don't want it to pull up, I mean. There. So this part was more straight. So I'm getting longer now. So you can start to see they're like bigger now. You guys like doing these shimmers? I'm gonna go right up to the beach cove part, like that line. So it's a little bit more angled here. Gotta connect it over there a bit. I didn't make these shimmers angled because I forgot. That's okay. I will just adjust it. Okay, something like that. Right? I know, it's crazy the difference. It's just that awkward part between when it's straight to angled that I'm working on trying to adjust, but yeah, I'm just angled here, so it's just kind of like trying to find that little bit of division where it's like straight here a little bit, and then it starts to change slowly on its angle. That's parts, like that's still things that I'm learning. It's like perspective and lines. That's why I'm taking some courses just to help myself out so I can teach you guys too. But yeah, still fun. I'm gonna add a little bit of turquoise, I think, into there again, just so it can, one of the areas mine faded away. So I'm just gonna take some blue. Just take a step back from yours. Like, you don't have to do this. I'll show you it on mine and you can decide. Okay? It's better to do it that way. So I got blue, green, and white to make something similar to my background turquoisey color. Not a lot of paint on the brush, so I can just do the tapping like we were just doing. I just need to fix up this area on mine. So it's just like, you can do this if you have, you know, too many waves that you wanted to maybe cover something, right? Like, and then you would just put them back on top. So I'm just fixing this one area where I had to like wipe it with the paper towel. I also wiped a little bit underneath. And then I'm also adjusting the angle a little bit here. Yeah, you can just kind of add in some turquoise again if you need to, or the dark color. It's just if you ended up getting like too much white, just take a step back from yours and you'll know. Well, that's awesome to hear. I'm just going over a little bit of my dark here so that I can change my angle, because I had straight lines underneath with the dark, but curved lines here, so it's not going together, right? So just gonna try and adjust that, and then I'll end up putting my white back on top. So this might be something you do and might not. So I'm just kind of touching something up at this moment. Just live in action here, touching up. And then yeah, anywhere that I want to add turquoisey color, like, you can just see how it dries, right? I just might need to tap in. So now I'm just gonna put in some of that white again. And then yeah, take a look at your reflection colors. Did they get hidden again? You can put them back. It's a lot of like little processes that it's all worth it to give it that detailed look that you're looking for there. More realism. Okay, so I'm just putting those back in. Just putting some white on top of where I put turquoise in again, so. And that one is a little too bright, so I'm going to tone it in there. Just some turquoise. So yeah, if you have one that's too bright or something, just put some turquoise on there, or the color that's around it, right? Just to tone it back in. Anybody have any questions? I know this is kind of like, can be a lot in this part, so. I'm personally going over my dark blue in just one area as well. I'll just bring it closer for you to see what I'm doing. I'm just going to make it up with this color. Just have to find my similar color first. Okay, that's fine. So like right here, I'm just adjusting from the straight area to the curved area. I just wanted to kind of blend it in a little bit more. So I'm going to use the darker blue to contrast that in. So I'm just following like the angle a little bit more here. And this color is slightly different than the other one, so I will just spread it out a bit so it can all go together. The more variety of colors, honestly, the better. So just put it up in here a little bit. And it's kind of nice that it's very dark right now for you to see what I'm doing, how I'm like kind of slowly, it's kind of like branching it out like a tree in this area to play in here. And then that way it looks like it came together naturally. I don't know if I'm making sense, but and I'm just having to spread this color out a bit because I put it over here. So that way it makes sense with the rest of the painting. Just a little bit here and there. This is all optional because you might not need to do this. That's why I mentioned just stand back because, you know, maybe yours is good. You're happy with it. You don't have to like keep doing all this funky stuff that I'm doing here. Okay. And it's a little darker there. Okay, so I need to hold mine back just so I can see. Yeah, that's making a little more sense now. Looks very wavy. Okay. All I'm gonna do now is clean my brush off and wipe it off. So it's just kind of like dry, damp, I guess. And what I'm gonna do is literally just go on top and go back and forth on everything. It's kind of scary, but it just softens it in, tones it down. Something about a damp brush and a little bit of like water just helps to blend it in just a little bit more, just back and forth. Just follow the angle, so like I'm going this way, right? And then I'm kind of going straight here and straight back and forth. But if you are good with yours, you don't have to do this either, because it's just, you might see this subtle difference on your canvas. But yeah, so there it is there. Here's our water. Let me know if you have questions about the water. It's definitely one of the more trickier aspects of the painting. Yeah, can't not wait to see everybody's work. And just like I said, stand back, take a look at it, right? See what you need to add in. Just gonna add, I'm going wave crazy again. I'm adding just a little bit more waves to mine. Just a little bit more. But you don't have to. So it's just because I put that blue. And sometimes they dry and they're a little transparent. So This piano track is very relaxing though. Just a random like Spotify. It's called Piano or Peaceful Piano. I love it. Aw, you are so welcome. Yeah, this lesson is definitely a little more detailed and whatnot, but it's worth it. You could always do this and then like pause it, take a break, right? Like not on the live, but just at home, you know, maybe do a little bit and then come back to it later. Like it is a lot, but it's a lot in here, a lot as an opportunity to learn and grow. So yeah, I'm just doing it live with you, and that's why I'm taking the time to really get it detailed here. I'm just showing you what it looks like when you add more, or, you know, gives the opportunity to show you what happens if I make a mistake, right? Like when I already have a sample, you're not seeing like all this kind of process. Okay. I could keep going on the water over and over and over again, but I'm going to stop because sometimes you just got to know when to stop. So yeah, I think it looks cool. I'm sure your guys' look awesome too. And yeah, so now let's get away from the water. And I want to show you guys, there's like little wee clouds up in here. Right there. There's a little cloud up above here. So I don't know if I want to do it or not. I kind of like it as it is. No, I don't want to do the cloud. Because I like it here. I like how it's like lighter and darker. I like this tone to it. So if I do a cloud here, I'm going to have to put this color back on top of the cloud. Okay, so you can, if you want to do a cloud, you just take a little wee bit of white and like a filbert brush, and you can tap like a cloud shape, right? Make a little kind of curvy tab in a little cloud, right? But you'd have to let it dry and then mix this color again and put it back, right? So I'm just not going to do the cloud. I just decided that right now. Okay, so we have some sand and trees to do. And there's like a random little wave in the water. I'm still learning waves, so we'll see how the sand goes, and then I might put a little wave. There's like, I'm not really sure. There's a little one right there. See that one? We're gonna see if that goes in there or not. Because I'm still learning that, and I don't want to mess this up because I like the water too. So yeah, anyways, let's get some sand in. So I'm going to use brown and that unbleached titanium. You can use brown and white. Okay, so let's use a filbert brush. Okay, wet that, clean it off if it's not clean. Okay, so sand. So now I'm going to use my ruler just to show you. I'm looking at my picture and it looks like the sand is more going like that. So like I know I said to put some down there. Like I said, sometimes it changes, but I'm just looking at the picture. And it's a little bit more angled up. Kind of like that. No, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to see how it looks when I fill it in and then go from there. Okay, so I'm going to use my unbleached titanium. So it's just like that beigey color. And a little bit of brown in it. So I just did a little wee bit of brown in this unbleached titanium. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys like it how it is. Okay, so I'm going to go up in here and start scrubbing in a second coating. You know what? I decided I'm going to take this up just a bit. Right in here. I'm burning up my sand a bit. Very spontaneous. It's fun doing these when I'm just kind of learning it too. Okay, so now I'm gonna come up over the water a little bit, just with like these little kind of bumps here and there, little hills. Definitely have to put some sort of wave line or something there to, you know, divide it. So we'll put something there. And let's just get our sand in. Just added a little bit more brown to it. There we go. It's like a beigey brown. So I'm basically going to make it like a beigey brown closer to the water area, and then I'm going to just get it a little bit darker towards the bottom. Just making it more of my color because I ran out. I want to go back to the beach. Okay, so I'm adding more of like a brown now. Direct brown into the beige, just like a bigger scoop. So it's a little darker towards kind of like the midpoint of the sand. Brown, so like the half. Kind of like that sky, right? So I just added brown into that beigey color. You can just use brown and white, by the way. Let me know if you don't have it. Just brown and white. Less brown up here, more white, and then more brown down here. Even a little yellow might help too in the sand if you don't have the beige color. Okay, so just kind of blending it in and going over top of it, back and forth until it looks more toned in. Getting a little bit of my edge so that it looks more rounded there. Right, looks cool. So now I'm going to clean this brush off. I'm actually going to get a little bit, I'm going to experiment here. Okay, so maybe don't do it yet. I'm just going to experiment. Just watch me, but don't do it. Just to see, I want to put a little bit of blue, fade it in again, like just some of that watered down blue. So just taking some here, tap my neck in a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to put in like a little bit of blue here because of like, you know, the water is going to come up in the sand. So yeah, okay, that doesn't look bad. I just didn't want you guys to do it and like mess it up, right? Because I told you to put blue in there. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So it's just a little bit of faded blue into the sand. I think that looks good. So yeah, you can do that too, if you like. So I just watered down just some blue. Whatever blue's on here, really. I've just added some water in there. So it can be a mix of all the blues. And of course, if you get too much blue, either just clean your brush off and use that damp brush to spread it out, or just put some more of the same color back on. Okay, so I'm just doing that, like kind of over here, because the water will get on the sand. So realistically, that's what it's going to do. And plus it kind of gives it like some shadow. I just did it in the top half brighter area because I figured that's where the water would mostly go. And I'm sure if you put a little bit down here too. Yeah. And as for that line between the sand and the water, I'm just cleaning the brush off. I'm just going to go on top of the line with just the damp brush just to smoothen it in, transition it between the water and the sand. Yeah. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, cool. You kind of see it. I don't know. I can see it in the lighting. Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'm just fixing up the bottom there. So then, as for the wavy area between here and here, I'm just going to use maybe a small flat brush. And we need white again. Oh, I have some. Okay, so I'm just going to see here. I'm going to use a little bit of white. Just dry brushing it. Okay, does anybody need a second? Sorry. I was getting ambitious there. I'll take a drink and then I'll tell you. You know what I was thinking with this too is if you have sand, I did this while I was in Costa Rica. I would literally put sand into the painting and then it made it look really cool at the bottom. It looked just like the sand. So if you have sand, literally, you could literally put sand right in here. While it's still wet, you could just sprinkle a little bit in there. I did not put that in the description, but I just thought of that on the spot. Okay, so as for the division between this water and the sand area, we're going to need some sort of little bit of wave, you know, like that foamy stuff, something to make it so the water is on there besides the blue. So I'm just going to use a little bit of white, tapping maybe on the napkin a bit to get some excess out. Just going to tap a little bit over here, just following the angle. Okay, so there's a little bit up in there. Just looking at my picture. Okay, and a little bit onto the sand. It's definitely on that line. Like, you're gonna want to tap some white. So I'm just gonna actually go across and just tap. It's gonna be a little different than the picture, but I'm just gonna do what I feel is gonna be good for this painting. And I'm just tapping a little bit of white across. I'm going to water it down a bit. Just going across there to show, like, you know, that water is also on the sand. It's kind of like wet brushing. The same technique we did with the blue. I'm just doing with the white now. Just on top of the line between here and here. Just first on there. And then we'll put some, like, wavy stuff. Bringing that up a bit, like into the water, just making sure to be aware of the angles. Just adding a little water again. Kind of keeping it like loose, right? Like the water really goes where it wants. So just trying to keep it like kind of loose and just tapping and blending a little bit here. Yeah, so that more so looks like it's going on to the sand than it just being there. And then as for like a little kind of wave here, basically, if you have something like, I'm just looking in my water to see what I could utilize. So like here's kind of like already a little bit bolder than these areas, like same with this, like these could be waves. But basically, if I use a brush and I just tap on top of here, just like with some white, so I can define that a little bit more. So just tapping like that, and then giving it like a slight angle. Just a little bit tricky holding it like this. So I just gave it like a slight angle, like a slight curve on the ends of it. I'm still learning waves, so. And then I've learned to like pull it down just a little bit. Just makes it look a little bit thicker, I guess. And if you don't like it, you can just put blue on it again. So, or is not doing. I don't know if I like it or not. I have to stare at it for a couple minutes and see if I like it. I don't know. I'm gonna add some blue in there a little bit because it's like just a little too bold for me. I don't know, maybe you have a better one than me. I'm just gonna add a little blue in there. Like I said, if it gets too much, just put some blue back in there. It's all good. I just decided to pull some blue down in the sand. Yep, that happened. There we go. Yeah, it's a little better now. What do you think? I'm putting blue in the sand again. I could just keep blending things all day, so. What? It's going. It's gone. It has gone away. I don't like it anymore. Sorry. You like it. Okay, well that was good, but I took it away. I'm still learning those, so I'm not 100% on teaching those yet, so we'll get there. We'll get there. So I'm taking some videos and courses to help out. So I love making water, and I want to expand on what's in the water. You know, what kind of styles are in the water, so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to put one. I just want to make it look like it's come up onto the shore. So, like, another thing I could do that I know I can do is just some white with even a filbert brush, something a little more fraily. There you go. Kind of see that. You can just do, like, some, like, little dots down here, like foam effects. So you can just come down from like that faded area and just tap a little bit. Makes it look more foam, right? Just something's going on in there to transition it. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, maybe you are a pro at waves. Like, who knows? But yeah, just doing a little bit of foam stuff because that's what I want to do, and the waves just weren't working out for me. That's totally fine. Just learn. We're all learning. Okay, so yeah, I like these little foamies. And then just take a step back from it too, just to see, right? Okay, so putting a little bit more kind of loose in here, just dry brushing it on top. Okay, I like it. Step back. I like the foam. Perfect. Me too. Yeah, the wave was like, it was alright. All I need to do there now is put a white line because it's just a lot of blue, so we'll touch that up. Okay, so basically what we have left is tree. Now, I'm just going to touch up this just a little bit where I had the wave. Just putting back in some white there to make it make sense with the rest of the painting. Sorry if I'm blocking. Just have to really like breathe here with all these little small areas. Okay, yeah, so now here's the option. You can leave your painting as it is because it looks really pretty as this is. Or you can put tree on top. So I don't know if I want to put the tree, to be honest. I don't know. Because like this is the photo inspiration, right? So I have, this is the tree and this is a tree. So this is actually a poisonous tree, by the way, that we were sitting under. So basically if the branches broke, it had like poison in it. I don't know. The local people, they were saying it's a poison tree and they had a sign up. And I was like, this is like really scary. You know, sun tanning, relaxing in the shade underneath, like part sun, part shade, right? And under these poison trees. It's very interesting. But anyways, okay, I just want your guys' opinion. Like, should we put in this here and like reflect it in the sand? Should we leave it as it is? Like, I don't know. Because like, this painting has so many options to it. So I might even just take a picture of this as it is too, so I can have some options. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for some responses. I don't know how long we've been painting. Oh, we've been painting for a while. We've been painting for a little wee while, eh? I didn't even realize how long we've been painting because to me, like the time, it always just goes, right? Like, it's just go with the flow. You like it the way it is, leave it as is, pom, pom, pom. Oh gosh. Okay, if I did a palm tree, I'm trying to think about that. There could be like a single leaf. There could be like a little palm leaf coming in up here, right? Imagine this is a palm, okay? And then it's like reflected with a shadow under it. So like the shadow would go this way and this way. So they'd have to be on an angle like that. Okay, I think it would look good. The tree too, like it the way it is. Okay, well, I'm gonna take a picture of this as it is, okay? Because I want to have a picture of this. I don't know if it's gonna mess up my live or not. I'll have to screenshot this later. Okay, let me see. I'm just taking a picture. That's why I'm zooming in. Taking a screenshot. Just so I have it as this for other people in the live later. Okay, I'm going to make these comments come back. Okay. Okay, well, let's look good with the tree. I like it the way it is. I like a palm on top. Okay. I'm going to be brave and put a palm leaf up in there. Okay? Because we did put a little green in the water. So just to balance it out a little bit. Because, yeah, this tree is looking more like maybe like Ontario or somewhere that's not tropical, right? So in order to make this look even more tropical, a palm leaf would probably look better. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get a flat brush out. Okay, so now if you are done and you like yours how it is, then you are done. So you can stay and watch and see what happens and decide for yourself later, or just keep yours as it is. All right, so I'm gonna get green out. Green, and I still have brown. Green, brown, and maybe a little wee bit of yellow. Let's leave the yellow on the side for now, and then we'll decide later. Okay, so I might draw it out first with my pencil, just to know where it is. Okay. So like I had mentioned, I'm having palm leaf. There's going to be like leaf, kind of palm leaves up here, I'm thinking. And then they're going to have to go up on an angle like this, so like for the shadow. So I'm just going to draw like a little, it's nice to draw it with a pencil first because then you can erase it. Just wanted to see what it looked like. Probably cannot even see my pencil. So I kind of went out on an angle up here. Sure, go for the palm leaves on top. Okay. And I mean, you could totally do this as regular leaves too. So you can just draw it like branches. So I'm going to say palm leaf there, and then maybe here a little one. That'll look good. That's what I have. It's just like, kind of looks like a V, I guess, in the sky there, a little bit. Or like a shark. Top of a shark. I don't know. And then now here I'm going to kind of like mimic where it is. So I'm like following the lines. It's about here. Shadow doesn't have to be exact, but similar. So then that one is coming to here. So it's angled, and then it's doing the opposite. So it's an upside down B. I'm gonna make these dark so you can see it. Okay, so as you see, can you see that okay? So they're just opposite. So basically like this triangular mountain shape at the top, and then underneath is the opposite. Oh, thanks, Wendy. I love making water. Okay, let's put some color on now. So I'm going to use brown first with my small flat brush. Just the brown color I had here for the sand. I'm just going to use that. Okay, so it's beige and brown. Now I'm going to go on the branch. So now you actually be able to see it better. It won't show up in the sand, and that's fine. Okay, but just so you can see the top. Okay, but I'm gonna now take some green. I'm gonna add in a little bit of the brown, just a tiny bit. Okay, so palm leaves are looking like kind of like windmill type shaped C's. I don't know how to describe this. So they're just coming out on an angle a little bit. So kind of like, I'm gonna leave some more space. I like to fill mine in, but they're just following this curve. Okay. See that? I'm doing the opposite curve on this side. I like to keep mine closer together, but they can be spaced out. Some can be close, some can be spaced out. I'm definitely going to be filling it in a little more with some like brownish green. I'm going over my stem now with the green color just to blend it in a bit more. It makes it more of a darker brown. Kind of like an undercoat. Trick is adding in more colors and it makes it look more real. So we're just doing this as a base. I made my palm leaf go right up to this like mountain here. Okay, so that's what I have as the idea. There could be another one here maybe. It really depends on how big you want. Like this picture has the leaves going all the way across. I'm keeping it more small. Like I might make another baby one over here. Okay. So if I made another one, I might even just extend this. Yeah, it just needs to be a little bit extended instead of a baby one. There. I like it already. Sweet. Yeah, it does look cool. Okay. So now I'm going to go to my sand area and do the same thing with my green. I'm just going to use green because it'll stand out. And a little bit here. So shadow will attach to here. Hopefully you can see that okay. Yep. Okay, and then I'm going to do my little angled. So you can draw it if you want, like you can draw these angled shapes. I'm just going to paint it. I'm going to add a little water to the green so I don't have those see-through spots. Just a little bit of water to it, and it helps to make it so they're not like showing the canvas indents, I guess, as much. You know what? I guess the shadow would be black. My bad. It's fine. We could put black on top. I was just thinking that. So yeah, that'll be dark. I'll let it dry. You know what, I'm gonna do this because it's not gonna match. So I'm gonna do this in green anyways, and then I will put it as like a darker green down there because it is a shadow. So I apologize about that. Okay, so I'm just gonna you guys have to show me your pictures. Okay. So yeah, those will be black later. The palms finished it perfectly. Yeah, it does tie it all together, eh? Okay. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of yellow actually. And put yellow out. Cleaning off this brush. Lots of brushes in there. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green, mostly yellow. I'm just going to come on here and just kind of highlight more of the tops of these leaves. Just going to bring this out to life a little more. So I'm like kind of like putting it in between a little bit. Just going to make like a lighter green so then it's not as transparent. There we go. So just yellow made it transparent. So now I added in green and yellow. And now that looks more thick and matching the tones. Okay, so that's what I've done there. I'm kind of putting it in between, a little bit on top. Right, just blending that in a bit more. Starting to stand out more. More yellowish green there. Awesome, yeah, me too. Because we, like I was mentioning in the beginning, we put green in here, and even though you can't tell it's green, it's still a turquoisey color, which is part of the green tones. So it does help to bring it together. I knew there was going to be green in here. Okay, and then all I want to do for the top palms as well is just use a little bit of just brown. Just more color variety, the better. Just a little bit of brown, like kind of like between some spots. It just makes it look like, you know, some are like kind of dead, like not dead, but you know what I mean, like dried out, because this is a tropical area, and I did see the palm leaves weren't all just like, you know, perfectly green and all that. So just help bring in the browns, and the browns here, it brings balance to the painting too. Just a little bit of palm, burnt palm. Yeah, that's true. And then, yeah, a little bit of brown kind of darkens it up a bit. It's a lot of little layers in here. Like I said, not all of these are going to be lively leaves. I did a little bit of the lighter brown on this side because it wasn't showing up. There we go. And if you end up getting too much brown or whatever, put some green on top. No risk, no reward. Yeah, the word just happened. Great job. Looks amazing. You are so welcome. Thank you. Yeah, it's like kind of like scary to put it in, but you know what? Like, it doesn't hurt to try. And I like it too. I think it looks cool. It really does tie it together. And like, people could literally put a palm tree, like a straight one here too. Like, there's so many possibilities within this painting. You could do this lesson again, right? And like add a straight palm tree here, or do the leaves all the way across, like, or leave it as it is, change the color, maybe do a sunset scene, right? Like reds and purples and pinks, and then reflect that color in the water. So many possibilities with this one lesson. Okay, so all we gotta do is just darken here because it is a shadow. So I'm just gonna use black for that. Black and a little bit of white to it, just like a really dark gray, just so it's not black. It'll also bring this together. Oh wow, it's just like so perfect because the greens go with this, browns tone in with the sand, and then these grays here are going to tone in with the grays in the sand. Love it. Okay, so brown, or not brown, black, and a little bit of white. Make up some dark gray. I'm running out of white here. Come on, get it over there. I gotta really, I have a replacement too, but just trying to use this up. There we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna make up some dark gray here. Okay. So dark gray. I'm gonna go over these palms. They're just gonna be gray because they are a shadow. Okay, so probably gonna add a little bit of like different color in it too, just a little bit, like of maybe some of the sand color back in, just so it's not like, it just helps to bring it back in. You'll see what I mean, because right now it's like gonna be very bold. But to make it more like in the shadow, we're gonna have to add a bit of the sand color between it. Right now I'm just trying to cover my green. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so I'm just covering up green. The shadow doesn't have to be like perfectly in the exact same spot. Like it's just kind of like very similar. Yeah, so the ocean wave course that I'm taking online right now, I have shared some like glimpses of it in my story. There is some in my story now that you can see. It looks very strange, and it's just completely different than what I'm used to, but that's part of the reason I'm doing it, is because it's trying something new and new styles, and that's how you can grow. So I'm just kind of flowing with it and gonna see what it ends up being. So you can check out my stories if you want to see it. Okay, so kind of very similar there. I'm just gonna fill in, like this part is filled in, so I'm gonna fill in there just to go with it. Like you just kind of have to look at your leaf area and just see. It's very bold right now, but we're gonna tone it down. I think I got green covered for the most part there. A little green is fine, whatever. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it does actually look like a shadow. Very cool. Just looking back, like standing back from it. Okay, so I cleaned off my brush. Might have to let it dry. I'm just gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna use the like sandy color, the brown and the beige color, and just like kind of go a little bit on top of it a bit, like just to like kind of like a little bit in between the leaves. I'm exaggerating it with the color here for a second, but it's just like kind of like when we undercoated things, like we're just slightly putting it on top again. So I'm gonna definitely water that down a bit more here because it's too bold, but it's just enough to like tone down the dark color with some of more of the sandy coating in there of undercoat, I guess I'll call that. I'm losing my words now. Yeah, so I can see that it's starting to fade it in a little more. Still trying to keep like the shape and everything, but I'm just toning it in a bit. I'm gonna have to hold it back just to see. And then, just trying to think, there's a shadow here. This water would be on top of it, like that, the foamy stuff. If you are as high up as me there, then there will be water there. So you just have to let it dry a minute, so then you could make it look like it's back on, like that it's on top of it versus this being like planted. So I'm just getting blue and white out just for that, just to touch it up a bit. Just gonna let it dry a second there. Go fan it. You guys are troopers staying with me tonight. I had no idea how long it would be or anything, but you know what? I'm like, Friday night, you know, some of us don't have to work tomorrow. I don't know, but yeah, just thought Friday night would be nice. I am going back to my regular lives that are every third Thursday of each month, and they are at 7 p.m. So yeah, I just decided to do this one at 8 o'clock on a Friday. Changed it up a little bit because I was on vacation, so that messed with the third Thursday on the Friday just for this month. So, but it's literally for the rest of the year, third Thursday of each month. So just fanning, mostly wanting the tops to dry. Okay, yep, they're dry. Okay, I'm just gonna tone them back in. So I'm just looking at this like area here. There's a little bit of like watered down sand, so I'm just watering down my sandy color just to kind of put it back in there, right? Because it's a shadow. See what I mean? How I'm burying that. So be careful, make sure it's dry, because otherwise you're going to pull up your paint and just tap it a little bit and just lightly just water down the paint, right? Just like we did to show that it's in the sand. Like on the sand, I guess, right? Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit of that blue again. Watered down blue. I'll add a little white to it maybe. Watered down light blue. Something similar to that color. Yep, that looks good. And then put that back a little bit on top. Just focusing on like the tops of the palm tree because it is in the water area. Palm tree shadow here, so. Okay, so just a little bit there. I'm gonna put the foam too to hold it back. Oh, this? Yeah, I could upload it to YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel. It is Painting with Megan. So I try my best to put my lives on there. Not all of them are on there, but I have a variety on there. So feel free to follow me there. And yeah, it's always easier to use YouTube to watch recordings. So I will definitely make a post with the link for that in the next coming days. Just have to upload it. Okay, now I'm just going to do some little foam effects, just like these ones, kind of blend them in, right, just to fully bring it back in the water. trying not to lose the shadow. It's a lot of foams there, so let's put the blue back. See how I've just kind of like put this back into the shadow, back into like the water. So it's not standing on the top is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I got blue up in there by accident. I'll have to water it down and then just use the clean brush to get rid of that. There. Okay, so it's time to hold it back just to see a little bit of blue here. Okay. Yeah, so now it's more hidden. And then, yeah, I can just put it. Sometimes it's hard, like with this part, because it's like you have to kind of make it look like it's in the water but not standing out. Just briefly, very lightly putting a little bit of the tops back. It's kind of like experiment, so just bear with me here. Yeah, I think that looks better now because it's just more faded. It looks more like a shadow now. There we go. Shadows actually are something that I don't do too often, but I understand the concept a little bit better than like waves. Yeah, that looks cool. Love it. Okay, I think it's done. I think we are all done now. This looks amazing. I hope that yours is just as amazing. We're all unique. Remember that. We all have our own skills. And we're all on our own artistic journeys. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. I cannot wait to see everybody's art. I can't wait. You have to post it, okay? Post it in this event. Post it right on my page. I don't care where you post it, okay? I just want to see it. And I would love for you, even just if you don't want to post it publicly, send me a message. Send me a message with your artwork, okay? And then I might ask you if I can share it, if you're okay with that. But yeah, that was fun. So much fun. Thanks for joining me tonight. Yay. Cool. A little wee different than our photo, but yeah, that's cool. I like the palm tree in there. All right, yeah, you guys and gals and everyone here have an amazing weekend as well. Stick around for a moment, make sure nobody has questions. Just turned off my lights, so it gives it a different tone. Okay. Well, thank you again, everyone, and I cannot wait to see your photos. If you enjoyed this tonight, please, if you feel inclined, leave me a review. That really just helps the page grow and get it out there. Share this video, anything you can do to help me spread these free live classes. So, all right. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend. Good night.